Hello, all of you beautiful people out there. Welcome to my followers and my LGBTQ plus friends and female friends and followers who are out there. My name is Rachel Freemon Sowers, and I am a licensed psychotherapist turned visibility coach. And what I love talking about more than anything else is how we can become more radically visible to ourselves and therefore be able to live the life that we want to live and impact others in a positive way. So if you're joining me, please make sure to say hi. I am wanting to just talk to you a little bit about how you can develop your own road to radical visibility. So throughout all of the years, I've recognized that there are three major types of traumas that really keep us from showing up as ourselves. And I'm wondering if you've ever experienced a time in your life, in your business even, where you have not shown up as yourself or not been fully yourself because of what someone else was thinking, or maybe what your employer was thinking, or any of those kinds of things. So I want to share a little bit of my journey with you today, because these three types of traumas that have kept me small, that have kept me like hidden, that kept me thinking that I wasn't good enough, kept me thinking that I didn't deserve, or I couldn't be who I wanted to be, that I would be rejected, and all of those kinds of things. Not just in my personal life, but in my entrepreneurship journey, have really, once I recognize these traumas, I've been able to release them and then begin to really help other people become the people that they want to be unapologetically, no longer worrying about what other people are thinking, but really caring about how they want to interact in the world and how they want to bring their gifts so that they can create some more positive impact in the world. So if you're an entrepreneur who has kept yourself small, or you've hidden parts of yourself because of these three types of traumas, I want to encourage you to stick around here. So the first type of trauma, and these may be well known to you, but hopefully through these stories, you're going to be able to see like, oh, maybe that's another layer that I can uncover so that I can be myself, be more of myself, and interact in the world, because we need each one of us to be doing this. I don't know about you, but I am no longer in the practice of conforming. Like, if you don't want to conform, if you're tired about putting yourself off, cutting parts of yourself off just to please other people, then please put a yes in the comments, because we need to end all of that. And when we show up fully as ourselves, we get to do that. So the first part, or the first type of trauma, is the cultural trauma. And I'm here to tell you that this is not your fault. How many times have maybe you thought to yourself, oh my gosh, well, this is my fault. I should have done this better. I should have done that better. But really, what I've known to be true from all of my education in all of my years in psychotherapy, as well as a visibility coach, is that we have patterned ways of being. And these ways of being are just ways or things that we've been doing, things that we've been taught to do that would keep ourselves safe. So when I started in my entrepreneurial journey so long ago, I never told anyone that I was gay. I never told anyone that I was a lesbian, because in my town, actually, there was a lot of discrimination. There was a lot of hate. There's a lot of religious people that didn't believe that I was as equal as them, even though I was helping hundreds of individuals. And this kind of cultural trauma, this kind of environmental trauma, really had me suffering. And I would sit with people that would be in front of me, and I would be helping their children heal, and I would be helping them heal their family after they've caused their family trauma. And they would tell me like, I don't like gay people, and they would say all of these things, and I would just have to sit there and keep my mouth shut. And what I didn't realize is that through all of those times, because of my history, because of another trauma we're going to talk about in just a second, I was oppressed for so long. And what really allowed me to begin to share who I was with people was when I stopped buying into the fear of rejection, when I stopped saying, I'm not going to live by these neurological connections that have wired together for so long that aren't even mine, that were trained to me, right? That were taught to me that that's what I needed to feel safe. And interestingly enough, the second trauma that really comes into play here that keeps us small is religious trauma. So get this. One time I was in Berkeley with my mom and dad, and we were getting ice cream at Farrell's. And this is when we were going to church, and my dad was a preacher and all of those kinds of things. And me and my brother were in the back of the Chevy truck with the camper on, and these gay guys walked by. And then me and my brother like, oh my gosh, look at them, look at them. And my dad and my mom, bless their hearts, they only did what they thought they could do, and they've changed now. However, we used to picket all the adult bookstore. We used to picket, stand outside with our signs and really say like being gay is a sin and you're going to hell. And those are some of the things that stopped me from being able to be myself and help the people that I wanted to help. Because the minute I actually broke free from all of that bullshit that I was taught, all of the things that didn't help me be in the world and share my gifts and make that positive impact that I wanted to make, as soon as I said, I'm not doing that anymore, as soon as I said, those are not my beliefs, I was able to shift. And so I wonder if there are areas in your business, in your life, that you're staying small. Maybe there's times when you want to do a video in your business and you're like, well, what do I have to share? And trace that back and look for that pattern that maybe you have been told. Look for the thing that maybe you are claiming as your truth that's not even yours to claim anymore. And that honestly doesn't help you live your life the way you want to. So we have a mix of this cultural trauma. We have a mix of the religious trauma and the cultural trauma. And they teach us ways to be safe, ways that we can keep ourselves safe. And what needs to happen is that we need to question all of those. Yeah, I said it. We need to question the beliefs that we have. And if you look at a belief that you have, my belief was that I was going to hell. And when I came out, my mom, I was a single mom, and even my mom was like, hey, what's going to happen to your child? Or people were like, oh, you're going to go to hell. After the contrary was told to me that if I accept Jesus Christ into my heart, then I would go to heaven, right? There's all of these conditional things. And the beauty of releasing and questioning the beliefs that we currently have, the things that we believe to be true, you can still believe they're true. If they're helpful to you, sure, no problem. But if they're not serving you, if they're not allowing you to show up as the fullest parts of yourself, as whole, complete, whole, and perfect just as you are, then I wonder if there really is a reason to keep hanging on to them. Trauma plays a big role in how we become radically visible to ourselves. It's not just about, a lot of people think radical visibility is that you're on every platform and that you're on video and you're just free to talk about whatever you want. That's part of it. But if you don't do this foundational part of really looking at what radical visibility means to you and how you've been conditioned not to become radically visible or to stay quiet or to be meek and mild, women who state their truth, women who state their beliefs, pretty much in any level, can often be seen as aggressive or bitchy or, on the rag, or it's your time of the month, right? We have all of these things that have been taught to us. And I want to encourage you today to see how many of those things you really want to be letting go of. So we have cultural, we have religious trauma, and then we have familial trauma. And this is really generational trauma. And there's so many more traumas that come. There's emotional traumas within this. There's physical traumas within this. There's all kinds of things that happen to us. But recognizing that just because your family generationally has done things, it doesn't mean that you need to continue to do those things. Now, I'm going to say something that's pretty controversial here, maybe for some people, and maybe it's not for others. But the way I was raised is that mothers are supposed to want to spend a lot of time with their children, and being a stay-at-home mom was the thing that you were supposed to do. And if you weren't giving totally of yourself for your children, that you weren't really a good mom. And those were the things that came to me. Those were the things that were told to me. And to be completely honest, as a single mom, trying to make it on my own, trying not to live in poverty, working my ass off, there were times when it made me feel like shit about myself because this is the way it was supposed to look. But the thing about it is now is that I never wanted to spend 24/7 with my child. I didn't want to. I was not the mom that was always like able to have such huge amounts of compassion for their children. It doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make me good. It doesn't make other people bad or good. It just wasn't how I could be, because I had experienced my own trauma. Trauma affects us throughout every section of our life. Once we look at that, we become more radically visible to ourselves. Once we say, hey, this is what has happened to me. And it doesn't mean you have to dig way back in your past and bring all that up, because sometimes people say, therapists, they want to talk about everything. They want to dig deep. And honestly, I've never been that kind of therapist, and I'm not that kind of visibility coach. I literally just cried because I feel like I never get to see my son. Yes, I work. Yeah. And you do everything that you can, right? But it's still never enough. It's still never enough, because my daughter was acting up at school and her 40-year-old kindergarten teacher couldn't help her. She was 4, right? So then I felt bad because of that. And then I was supposed to work. And then I was supposed to make the money. And then I was supposed to be there for her 20. Well, I couldn't because of my own trauma. But I didn't even realize that then. And this whole thing that we tell mothers, that we tell women, that we tell LGBTQ plus people, that we tell marginalized communities, people of color, it's that we're never going to be enough. This is a message that is consistent. And this is why I find it such a conviction in my heart to help people become radically visible. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, and even in your life, because the fact of the matter is that we need people to start debunking all of the bullshit that people have told us for so long that is normal, that's real. And we don't need to have suffering as part of a lesson in our life. Radical visibility and becoming visible to ourselves is the courage to say, I no longer want any of that. I no longer want to believe that I am not enough. I am believing that I am enough. I am believing that I am meant to be here, that my purpose is this, and all that is okay. It's not about one thing people say, it's about mindset. I don't know if you're an entrepreneur, or even, if you've heard, like, it's just your mindset, just change your mindset. Well, I'm telling you right now, if everyone just was able to change their mindset, we would all be rich as entrepreneurs. We'd be living the lives exactly how we wanted to. We'd have whatever we want, and we wouldn't suffer at all. But it's deeper than a mindset, right? We forget that the mind and the body is connected. It's about creating a way of being within yourself that allows you to just be okay with you, and oftentimes become so much more than okay with yourself, right? It's about saying, I experienced these traumas, yes. And it's not about ignoring them or trying to shove down those feelings that come up. Because if you have ever experienced not feeling good enough, if you've ever experienced not feeling like you've been able to show up the way that you wanted, or you shouldn't look like that, or you shouldn't dress like that, or you shouldn't be like that, any of those feelings cause you to stay small when we continue to listen to them. And so we try and shove them down because we don't want to have them. But what if, just what if you were able to say, okay, maybe I shouldn't be wearing this shirt. Or you have that thought and you can say, but I want to, and that's enough, right? It's not trying to ignore the feelings. It's saying, hello, thank you very much. I still need to work on this little section. That's fine. And I'm going to wear the fucking shirt anyway. I'm going to say my message anyway. I'm going to live my life the way I want to anyway, because this is my path. And I just did a video that'll be coming out in a few days. And it really is about how we've been taught that we're selfish. And this whole thing about, oh, you're selfish if you don't put your kid in front of yourself. Well, hello, when you keep doing that, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to be burnt out, and you're not going to be able to be the mom or the woman that you want to be. You're not going to be able to be the entrepreneur that you want to be. You're not going to be able to show up the way that you want to show up, because it's not even about you. So many people that I help in entrepreneurship to become radically visible, the foundational place we have to start is really knowing themselves again, right? How do you want to be in the world? How do you want to be interacting in the world? And you'll hear me say this over and over and over again, because it's essential that we know ourselves first. And then we show up radically visible for ourselves. So as we go and we unlearn some of these things, as we continue to question our beliefs, what beliefs do you want to be questioning that are no longer helpful? The familial trauma can be sustained for a really long time, because we're told that this is your family, you're supposed to do this, this is how you're supposed to be. And we have all kinds of patterns of behavior with our family. And it can be one of the toughest places. So when people go online, when entrepreneurs begin to get online, and even if, however you're presenting yourself online, when you go to do that, it feels really risky, or it can feel really risky. It felt really risky to me. I started doing video back in 2016, and I would literally cry. And I wouldn't be crying out of sadness. It's just out of nerves. That's how my body expresses itself. I'm a highly sensitive person. I would have sweat dripping down my back. I would be shaking, and I would say, this is who I want to be in the world. I have something that I want to share. I have a gift that's been given to me, and this is how I want to interact in the world. And believe me, I've had my share of haters. I've had people say, because I have tattoos, that how can I mark my body up? Because how can I have all this confidence if I mark my body up? All of those kinds of things, those people will be there. And it's not so much to avoid those people, but it really is to begin to care more about your life. Because honestly, this is your life. Like, it's your life. Let that sink in for a minute. Who else is going to live your life? When we give power over to others, it's because we have a pattern of giving power over to others. When we risk, or when we shy away from saying what our real truth is, we give that power over to the traumas. We give that power over to the other places that we've experienced not being enough in. And we say, I'm going to do that. So in the future, if you're wondering, becoming radically visible is not just about being extroverted, right? As an introvert, as someone who needs more time to themselves, you can become radically visible also. And that's the beauty of defining what is radical visibility for you and how you want to be interacting in the world. When you have that feeling of, like that, or you're just like, you're resistant, or you keep avoiding, but something honestly in your heart and in your gut is telling you this is what you need to do. Remember that your body doesn't ever forget anything. The somatic body doesn't forget. And so anything, any trauma, any feeling you've ever had, it's in your body. And so what's happening is, it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to speak your truth. That feeling doesn't mean that you're not supposed to. What's happening is that the body's saying that we're in a little bit of danger and we need to go back to our safety. So go back to believing that you're not enough. And what we do is we say, no, that is a feeling that I'm having, right? That's a feeling that I'm having. And when I have that feeling, I am aware that I feel unsafe. Therefore, I'm going to say that I am enough, to come on this TikTok live and to speak to whoever is wanting to hear, to speak to whoever this message is for. And that nothing is happening to me in this moment, except that me being the way that I want to be and the way that I want to interact in the world. That's all that's happening here. And so when you are beginning to become more radically visible, or if you've felt this thing that's like, there's more and I want more. I had a client say to me, she was raised to, you only take what you need. But I want more. I want more time. I want more, I'll just say, I want more money. I want more positive impact. I want all of those things. And so as you develop and play and get curious with your own radical visibility, I am wondering what you are willing to say yes to. What is in your heart that is yearning to be let out? What is something that you are feeling that has been let go of or left to the side? So many of my clients say, I remember how I was back then. And I liked that person. And I'm not sure what's happened in these in-between years. And one client said, I want to be back to there again. And I said, well, let's not go back to there because honestly, it's physically impossible. But what we can do is take the things that you really loved and we bring them into the present. And we bring them in the present where it shines through as who you are being in your business and in your life. So there's always so many things that come along with radical visibility. But today was really about hopefully empowering just one person to be curious about their radical visibility, to understand that the things that you may be living your life by, the beliefs, the rules, are not even yours. And to say, I want something different, because that is where it all begins. So I hope that you have found this helpful. Remember that I will be here every single Thursday and or Friday if you are looking to become more radically visible in your business and life. And I really cannot wait to help you discover your road to radical visibility. Thanks so much. I'll end this video like I end every single video. Please make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within you. I hope to see y'all later.